Hello everyone, welcome back to our subscriber game tournament as we continue with round 1 matches here in group 2 as we have the EcstaticKnight on the green side versus SeaTurtle on the red side. And taking a look at their draft before we hop into the match, we have EcstaticKnight with Yuan Shao, Lu Bu, and Guo Jia. So a lot of familiar faces, popular generals for sure. Yuan Shao is on a losing streak, but I think things might turn around for him here as he's not paired up with Yan Baihu, because that takes out 2 of your generals from combat. This time he has Lu Bu as a strong attacking general, Guo Jia as assistant here with Wisdom River, Stifling Deluge, and Foresight to help spot hidden units. But there's actually no stock on the other side. Yan Baihu does not make an appearance here. We have Pei Yuanshao actually, and Wen Chou and Yan Liang. Pei Yuanshao is quite interesting. So he has the health and damage of a champion, but he's the only one in the game who's not a strategist with Wisdom of the River, so he can help debuff enemy units and generals to help with combat. So you end up with 3 pretty powerful generals in Pei Yuanshao, Yan Liang, and Wen Chou. The weakness might be morale, since you have no one that provide any sort of morale boost. For the fights, there's no commanders, there's also lack of Stifling Deluge, so it's not going to be a pure strategist. If they do tangle up in a fight, as long as Guo Jia stays near, no one can use their ability on SeaTurtle side. As for unit choices, we have pretty standard setup. We have Ye Vanguard Spearman on Yuan Shao, excellent choice. Xiliang Cav on Lu Bu with a touch of Horseback Archer. I think this is the heavy one, which is available on Vanguards for basically all Vanguard generals. It's fine. He's trying to get a little bit of Fire Arrow. He's also using 2 crossbow units on Guo Jia, which is meant to damage units, high quality units with high armor, maybe even generals if they're immobilized. Having a few helps, and he upgraded them the most, which is beneficial as they gain firing rate, which is probably the most useful thing you can gain from the level up. And then we have 3 Qingzhou units, which are excellent, and that's really what makes Guo Jia more well-rounded than, say, Zhou Yu. Despite being a weaker general, you have better units. Then looking at SeaTurtle side, we also have similar ideas here. 2 horseback archers. These are the huntsmen. They also have fire arrows. They're extremely cheap in multiplayer, so you're definitely getting quite a bit of value here, getting 2 of them. And then we have just a random yellow turban unit. I believe he probably just had very little money left and he didn't know what to get. And he didn't level up any of the units, which I think probably be better than recruiting this one random yellow turban melee infantry here. Regardless, we have 3 Ye Vanguard Spearmen, which is a good number. 3 or 4 is probably good enough. They're not very good in actual melee combat, so getting any more is just way too expensive. We have 3 Northern Z Infantry. Interesting choice. They are good value for the cost, but they're not as strong as the Qingzhou unit since they don't have Misplaced Devotion. And then we have 6 of the Northern Lancer cavalry units, which are quite good, mainly because of their cost. They're not as fast as the cheaper cavalry, but they definitely have more stats elsewhere. It's going to come down to a lot of microing. SeaTurtle has straight up better general fighting capabilities, since EcstaticKnight's basically relying on Lu Bu for most of the fighting. Yuan Shao probably have to stay out of combat for most part to boost the units, and Guo Jia is a strategist, but maybe we'll see a better Yuan Shao performance. So let's hop into game and see how this one plays out. Alrighty, so as we hop in here, bird's eye view, we see the deployment. It's pretty aggressive on both sides. We have both of the horse archers in the middle with their fire arrows trying to burn down the forest, and both sides, had the same idea and put them quite close to each other here. We also have very aggressive glow deployment of all the cavalry. I bet they're hidden. We can't really check because they're on the red side. We have the vision and setup of the green side, but it's not going to matter because you can see the hidden unit symbol because Guo Jia has Foresight, so you can't really hide from him. Putting them in the forest does not matter. Splitting off your units is always risky. They're not split off too far, plus they're the more mobile unit, so this is probably fine. Looking at the setup for EcstaticKnight here, pretty standard defensive setup. A line of the Spearmen, currently not in formation, which is good. I believe in always being flexible. See what your opponents bring, then decide how you want to set up your formation. He has basically a shield around his 2 crossbow units, spread his cavalry on both sides. Just make sure to join them together before you engage in an actual fight. It's okay to spread them out early, but you want to punch with all your power when you have to. And having these cavalry units to assist in the general fight when you have 2 slightly not combat focused generals will definitely help out a lot. Then back on SeaTurtle's side, we have a very similar setup. We have the yellow turban warrior randomly here, and the 3 infantry followed behind by the Ye Vanguard spearmen, which probably should be in the front. They're the ones with the shield. They're the ones with the formations that counter cavalry. So why put the infantry without any shields up front? Anyhow, we'll see how this plays out. Both sides taking stock of the situation and be like, we're too close. Let's get out. And I bet it's the fire arrows going into the forest on both sides. They don't have fire will on. Oh, they do. Ooh, just eating that fire. Look at the low morale on the yellow turban units. Once the fires start burning, you see the it's -3 for under fire, -4 for the fire itself. They caught on fire with the nearby fire. So the tree applies 10 points, the shots apply 4 points, and then getting shot applies 3 points. So fire archers are very useful for just damaging morale. I don't know why they're chasing. No one else is really making any moves. He's shifting his cavalry together on this side. Yeah, chasing right into Ribu here. Now, they are playing on extreme unit size. I think it's because of the setting of who made the room. There's no hard rule against unit size. I recommend everyone to play on large. It's slightly more balanced. But if you prefer to play slightly bigger or slightly smaller, it doesn't really matter as long as the internet for both players can handle it. I believe most of the contestants will be playing on large unit size. This is one of the few ultra that we have. The generals are here to cover them, but running back into a burning forest is not good for your morale. So I think they're just going to rout off. I'm not even sure if the general want this fight because I don't think you can stop them. If they stop and fight the generals, then that's a bad idea because we do have a smash ability here. Yeah, running into a burning forest, just not a good idea for anyone. The generals are coming. The infantry are lagging. What are the cavalry doing? They're just sitting there? Yeah, I guess we'll check from the mini-map. They're just sitting there. Alright, we did get Peiwanshaw to activate Wisdom River on Lu Bu. So he's peeling away at this point. That's fine. We're getting some shots from the, horseback. They're not going to do any damage. It's base damage mostly. The generals, you get hit maybe with 1 or 2 arrows. The crossbow value on the generals, perhaps, if they stop moving, it does do quite a bit. Armor piercing damage. If they're not hitting. It's hard to hit generals if they're moving. This doesn't do anything. What does the evasion do for you? Kiting out a lot of the shots. You should just keep zigzagging. Why commit? Why commit? He's sending his cavalry in. The wedges are ready. They should go into square right now to counter the cav. Just ignore these. They're not even shooting fire arrows. He's shifting his entire line. And they're not charging. We have a couple dismount. So we have EcstaticKnight dismounting Lu Bu for the fight. Yuanshao is trying to get protected. He got chunked. Targeting Yuanshao is smart. I don't know what Guojia is doing. He's just splitting. Oh, the cavalry is swarmed around Lu Bu. Plus all the generals. Lu Bu's taking a lot of damage. I don't know if the slam's going to do anything. People got out of that? Why did they pull? Why did they pull? Right, he pulled the generals. Should have killed people right there. He's dismounted. The roar doesn't do anything because Yuanshao is still alive and not in combat. He's marching his own units through the burning forests. Yeah, he committed the cavalry and didn't get anything back. They just got piled together for the generals, and the generals slipped out. The infantry swarmed. They died, and no one touched the crossbow. I think a lot of players have one problem where it's hard to micro individual units. So you select the unit of the same type, you send them in, instead of spreading them out individually to target key targets that you want to hit. Yeah, these are not going to do much. The fire arrows, the abilities, staying next to a fire, burning, minus 10 morale. This burning tree setup is killing him. What is the general doing? They're killing the crossbow? What about your infantry? They should be trying to kill Lu Bu right now. Or attack him. Get someone to attack him so that they start actually losing morale. But I think it's already too late. Wait, why did he peel? He stopped. Guojia being very brave. I'll peel for you, Yuan Shao. I got you. I mean, it's fine now. Even if they start losing the morale, there's not many threats. He lost all 6 of his cavalry in that one charge. Oh, Guojia is in trouble. Maybe not. Yuan Shao's fighting alone because they're chasing the crossbow. Losing his cavalry so that he has to use his general on the crossbow. Yuan Shao is in trouble. Dismounted Lu Bu for quick attacks. That's Guojia's Wisdom River. Okay, Guojia died. Wonder if ability usage is going to change anything. Wait, why? Kill the generals first. Yeah, the dismounted generals at this point is just getting a lot of free hits. I don't know the logic here. You can't roar unless you kill Yuan Shao, or at least keep him in combat. Yeah, the smashes are great. Do this after you kill the general. It's free kills after the generals die. Yuan Shao died. Okay. Now kill Lu Bu. I'm worried about their morale. Because they lost their entire army. It's army loss based on units routing and then generals. They need to kill Lu Bu now. Because Lu Bu dies, Lu Bu's unbreakable. Everyone will rout. If Lu Bu doesn't die, they will rout. Lu Bu's killing this last unit, because this is the last infantry they have. Then there'll just be 3 generals. And then Lu Bu should just run into the burning forest, because they want to fight, they'll lose 10 morale. Well, this is very smart. The cavalry's harassing, lower their health, so it's easier to rout. Okay. The cavalry all bounce back too. Having something that's unbreakable to anchor your morale. Right. Army loss kicked in once that last unit gave. Ooh, this is quite the back and forth effort. And this is one of the cases where your 3 generals are still alive, yet you lost. That is something that doesn't happen very often. But I think SeaTurtle here made a couple crucial mistakes. Lu Bu was gonna die in that first fight when he was dismounted, surrounded by all those cavalry, surrounded by your 3 generals. Kill him very quickly right there. And this fight was won at that point, I think. If Lu Bu died there, even if you lost all 6 cavalry in that trade, that would be a worthwhile trade. But instead, he was able to just walk out of the fight. That was puzzling. And then once you were stuck in the general versus general fight, suddenly turned and committed towards units. I think that's also a mistake, because if you kill the general, you can do that all you want. And at that point, Lu Bu gone, no one's unbreakable on the entire team. Army loss start ticking in. And then as you start peeling away the unit with 3 general versus 1, Yuan Shao was alive for a little bit, but he died pretty quickly after that. It would have been a pretty easy win, actually, for SeaTurtle. But this was a pretty nice match. Renshaw still has some very key weaknesses of not being able to participate in fights. But let's see how the damage figures. So now these numbers are inflated because we're on ultra unit size, so everything's doubled. General kill count looks impressive. Renshaw once again ends the battle killing 0 units. I think this is a mistake on most players. You can have him, go kill some units if you want. As long as when your units need the morale, you peel him off, you're fine. Especially if you can cover him with your other generals and your cavalry. Now, a couple key moment is just distraction. I think SeaTurtle got distracted a couple times, committing both generals on the crossbow, leaving Pei Renshaw to fight 1v3 was a bad idea. If you're going to target the crossbow, just send all 3 together at one crossbow, take it out quickly, go for the next one. If the enemy general wants to come stop you, you fight the enemy general at the crossbow. All the splash damage will kill them, as part of that. If they ignore you, you just basically keep your generals full health, kill the crossbow for free, then hop back into the general versus general fight instead of offering one of your generals to basically just go die and then you trade 1 general for 2 crossbow. That's not a good deal. The initial fire was kind of interesting. I think the fact that SeaTurtle ended up marching through that was also quite interesting because you don't have to be the side that goes through the burning forest. I guess he wanted to just charge in. I think patience is definitely something that most players should preach. Then again, it's a casual tournament, so a staring contest is boring. But with the generals he had, he could poke around. I think he could, approach this group and just do some slam abilities. It's unlimited use for both of them. And then just peel away until, the other side get more impatient. But instead, he ended up marching his units through that burning forest, which really damaged his morale. Fighting near the burning forest, also really bad for morale, even afterwards, because he got out of it, but he was still close enough to get damaged by that morale debuff. The cavalry was really unfortunate, committing all 6 there. Some of them didn't even get kills, and they ended up getting swarmed and got killed. It wasn't even the proper use of Vanguard Spearmen, right? If you kept them in square, then the cavalry would have just got shredded as they approach on that initial charge, and then the general could just hop into the squares, and then the cavalry basically can't swarm them. But I guess just running your spearmen into the cav also works, especially since you have so many of them at that point, because you had all your units nearby, whereas they only had the 6 cavalry that could basically fight. And there's just a lot of distraction. I think if you focus down on one thing, doesn't matter what it is. If you want to kill the crossbow, send all 3, kill the crossbow. If you want to kill the general, send all 3, kill the general. Don't switch target here and there, and that would have been a very different result. But this is quite interesting. I don't think I've ever seen a match where one side has 1 general with barely any health surviving, unbreakable, but other side has 3 generals that have health, losing all the units and triggering the army loss, thus losing the match. Excellent match here. EcstaticKnight moves on. It's a quick match too, so he will have side selection for the Group 2 Round 2 matchup against the White Cloud Hermit. And we'll see that next week, I believe. So, see you guys then. Bye.